Sunday afternoon live stream. The last couple of weeks, I've had a Sunday afternoon live stream with a couple of guests, and it just felt right to do another one. I didn't have a guest lined up, but I figured I would hop on. I hope that everyone, all of the fathers out there, are having a wonderful Father's Day. My dad lives in a different state, so I was not able to see him, although I was able to chat with him on text. And my husband, who is a father, of course, he is a very hardworking man and he is off at work. He is a contractor and he you know, as with that kind of a job, it's not a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday type job, and he is working. So he is not here to spend time with. Otherwise, I probably would not be on here on Father's Day. But he will be back in not terribly long, so we will get to celebrate when he gets back. I see a few people here. I have my comments pulled up on my computer here, so I can answer some questions that I've gotten recently, but I wanted to make sure that I prioritize anyone who's here live. And if you have questions for me about whatever, I mean, I reserve the right to not answer if I don't want to, but feel free to ask any questions and I will try to get to them. But if there's a lull or not very many questions, I can go through some of the stuff that I have been asked on videos recently. Let's see. We have Just Jason Keto is here. Jodell, this is your first live. Welcome. Thank you for hanging out. She was asking about bamboo flower. Okay, I have been hearing all about bamboo flower recently. I've been asked many times, like, have you tried it? Is it amazing? Is it everything everyone says it is? I have no idea. I have not tried it yet. I was just messaging on Instagram with the Keto Village. She is here on YouTube and on Instagram, and she was playing with bamboo flower just yesterday, I think, making my egg white crepes and adding some bamboo flower in there to see if it would make the texture better. And she said that it was pretty good. She says she didn't think it was quite there yet, but it was on its way to being good. So maybe I need to order it. If any of you guys have tried bamboo flower, I would love to hear your experience with it. It seems to be the new thing in the keto baking world. Roxanne is here. Deb is here. Okay, so Deb, you are asking, I'm curious if Nili has tried that recipe and compared it with hers. I don't see what recipe you're referring to, so maybe maybe that message got lost. It says there are a lot fewer ingredients. So I'm not sure which recipe you're referring to, but go ahead and ask that again and I will see if it's something I've tried. Let's see. Blaze is here. Hi, Blaze. Joanne from Arizona. Hi, Cindy. Cindy is here. What did you lose on your egg fast? I'm thinking about trying tomorrow. Okay, I have a video coming that's a complete recap. So I will have all of the details in there. And then also I'm doing like what I eat in a day videos after the egg fast. And so I'll be sharing because it's really important not to just think, how much weight can I lose in these 3 days? And think about like, am I going to just gain it all back after 2 days? So that's a really important thing to keep in mind. Also, I had just lost 5 pounds, almost 5 pounds on the sardine fast, just like couple days earlier. So like taking that into consideration, what I will say is I did end up losing more weight. So I lost the 5 pounds. I maintained that for the 2 days after the sardine fast. And then I lost more weight on the egg fast, which I was pretty shocked about. So anyways, but that video will be coming soon. So that's just a little teaser there. Let's see. Let's see. Who's your friend? Hello. How do you blend your prime protein powder with your yogurt and get it so smooth? There are always some that sticks to the side of the bowl and stays in little clumps. Okay, so basically what I found that works for me is that I stir it in, best I can. And then if I just let it sit for a minute or two, it kind of breaks down and then one little stir and it's fine. But also I'll mention I don't really mind a few little clumps Um, I mean, I guess some people might, not like that texture, but I really don't mind it. So yeah, that's my best tip is just let it sit for a little bit. It is cold here. What is the weather like where you guys are at? Because we were like in summertime. And then all of a sudden today, it is so cold and it is raining, which we need the rain, so I can't really complain. But like I'm sitting here with a blanket on and I'm freezing. It also kind of has to do with the next challenge that I'm on that I just started today. So that's another teaser. Um, I'm feeling a little cold, which is not pleasant, but thankfully I'm not starving to death. So, anyways, what's the weather like where you're at? It is so cold, and I'm just like I'm so over it. I'm ready for summer, but trying to be thankful for the rain. Let's see. Karen is here. Anita is here. Let's see. Oh, Miriam is here. Hi, Miriam. I am doing well today, aside from being cold. I'm actually feeling pretty good. I hope you guys had a good Father's Day or are having a good Father's Day. I hope Chris was well celebrated. That's that's fun. Let's see. Rickwin is here. Kathy is here. Marcy and Sarah G. Jennifer Berger is here, your first live. Thank you so much for joining. Stephanie is here. Let's see. Oh, good luck finding bamboo flower. Is it getting sold out everywhere since it's so popular? Oh, my comments just jumped. Let's see. Where are we? Here we go. Oh, okay. So Deb is clarifying the recipe she's talking about. The recipe is on Victoria's Keto channel. There are only 4 ingredients. Oh, is it for the flour? Bamboo, fiber, egg white, protein powder, pecan flour, and xanthan gum. So no, I have not tried any of those flour substitutes. I just haven't felt like I've needed to. I'm happy with the recipes I have. I just haven't experimented with it. I also tend to shy away from any kind of nut flours and from like my very quick glances at those recipes previously, I think most of them have nut flours in them. So that's just not something that I play with. I don't mind having like products with nut flour in it, like the chipmunk baking cookies, and there's some perfect keto bars and stuff that have almond flour or peanut or whatever. And so I will use those like as a convenience food, but I don't want to have a really high amount of nuts in my diet. And so I choose when I'm making, I like creating a recipe for, myself, I just don't use the nuts. And therefore it allows room for nuts in other products that happen to be made with them, if that makes sense. So it's just not something I'm super motivated to try. Um, Jonna is here and Chris is here. It says, hope you're having a great Sunday. How was your energy on the eggs? I love eggs and kind of want to try it, but I get sluggish. But if I get sluggish, I need to time it right. Yes. Okay. So, I did not, until the third day, I did not feel sluggish. I felt fine. The great thing about the egg fast is that there's no limit to eggs. It's not like you have to keep it at a certain calorie level. So as long as you're okay with eating lots of eggs, then you should be fine because you can really eat to hunger. And, every time you eat an egg, you're eating that, tablespoon of fat serving as well. And so it can be very satiating. I am not one that can eat a lot of eggs in a sitting or in a day. I'm not sure why. I've always been this way. Like, I don't like deviled eggs. I don't like hard-boiled eggs just by themselves. Like, there's some weirdness about eggs for me. And if I try to sit down and just eat a plate of eggs, I can get through 2, maybe 3, if I'm really hungry. And then I'm just like, ugh, I can't eat any more eggs. So my calories were on the lower side for an egg fast. Like Lindsay loves eggs and she can eat them all day, she says. And so she was able to eat a lot more, like more of the normal amount of calories, whereas mine were a little bit lower. So it kind of depends on how you feel about eggs and if you can if you're fine eating a plate of 6 eggs for breakfast, I think you'll be great and totally satiated. But then that last day, I was feeling, kind of lethargic and tired. But again, I think that was more the lower protein and lower calorie. If I had been eating more, closer to my normal calorie range, and that would have increased the protein as well, I probably wouldn't have felt that way. So that's my thoughts on that. Keto Simple is here. Dustin. Yep. 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 Oh, was it the rain you had last week? Kathy says you're in the 80s. That sounds very nice. Very nice. Debbie, you ordered the flour, but it takes a month. Do you order it from Amazon? Because that's crazy. I imagine if it does become super popular, it'll be all over Amazon and there'll be, all of the brands making their own bamboo flour. Yep. 86 in Chicago. 90s in Orlando. Yeah, what's up with this? Are we the only ones with the rainy and like 60, 70 degrees, which is not too terrible, but when you're used to it being warmer, it's just difficult. Let's see. Oh, it's cold in Washington. Yeah, that makes sense. You're just above me in Washington. In northern Washington also. All right. I keep my keeps jumping when I'm trying to like just. So here we go. Hot in Louisiana. That makes sense. 80s and stormy in Arkansas. That's interesting. 81 for Dustin. Let's see. Blaze says, can't wait for noodles. Oh, I haven't heard about noodles coming from Chris. That's exciting. Let's see. Let's see any more questions. Dustin's asking Miriam if she got Chris a bunch of keto chow for Father's Day. Now that would be a gift, wouldn't it? I mean, my husband would think it was a gift, but Chris, probably not so much. Oh, the flour's made in Germany. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I just have not looked into it, but I keep hearing about it. It keeps, popping up. Deb is saying pecan is lower in oxalate than almonds. That is interesting to know. And lower in carbs. Perfect weather in southern Ontario. Sounds nice. Deb, you're kind of sick of eggs. Yeah, I didn't get the same kind of sick of eggs that I got sick of sardines. And like I was thinking about it today, I was like, I could think about eating some sardines again. Like not the bone in skin on ones, but the boneless skinless. I could think about eating them. Like before, like at the end of the sardine fast, I was like, don't even talk about sardines. I don't want to eat sea sardines. I don't want to have anything to do with sardines. And I feel like I've kind of gotten over that. Not that I'm like jumping into eating them or anything. I could just, think about it and be okay. But with eggs, I really didn't, aside from like the days of where I was like, oh, that just doesn't sound good. Like that's not what I want. It wasn't like they were nauseating to me. Like I can't look at another egg. And like even the last couple of days when I've been eating regularly, I've been like, oh, eggs. Yeah, fine. So I'm thankful for that. If I had just been really turned off of eggs after that, that would have been a bummer. Because we have chickens and we have lots of eggs, and eggs are so incredibly healthy. So that would have been bad. Um, so Anita says, not a fan of eggs at all, but I could add chaffle to the day. Absolutely. Yeah, there's lots of ways that you can make eggs not feel like eggs. And chaffles is a great way to do it. The only thing about the chaffles is it does have a lot of cheese in it. And so when you do the egg fast, most people recommend to limit the cheese to like 3 ounces a day. So you'd have to figure out another way to eat some of the eggs and not just do like 12 eggs and 12 ounces of cheese. That would be a little much. I mean, maybe it would work. Maybe we should try a cheese fast. I mean, that I could get down with a cheese fast. Although my digestive system maybe would not be as big of a fan, but I would enjoy it, from the beginning. All right, Debbie says yes from Amazon on the bamboo flower. Okay, interesting. Um, 99 degrees in Huntsville, Texas. That's a little too much. We need a sweet spot. And 104 in Arizona. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cold and cloudy in New York. Yep, that's the way it is here. Um, Dustin said Keto Chow had an ad for Mother's Day telling people to get them Keto Chow. And it was funny because they were like, don't get them Keto Chow for Mother's Day. They, they had an ad saying they should, and then they said they shouldn't. Hey, I'd take Keto Chow for Mother's Day. I'd be fine with that. I think it really depends on the person. When you're giving a gift, you really need to take the person into consideration. And when it's Chris, Keto Chow probably isn't the right gift choice. Just throwing that out there. Oh, Deb, your husband is doing the sardine fast for 7 days starting tomorrow. God bless that man. I hope he's starting out liking sardines. And I hope that if he is starting out liking sardines, that he'll end liking sardines as well. That would be the best possible scenario. Um, Vicky, you love the bone and skin on ones. I wish I was that person. I really do. I really do. Um, I ate 2 eggs on my egg fast. It lasted for 3 hours. Like it kept you full, or your egg fast only lasted for 3 hours. I'm curious about that. Because I've been on some, like, tried to do some challenges and cleanses, and they only lasted about 3 hours because you start and you're like, nope, not doing that. Yeah, Keto Chow has that starter kit for 19.99 for 6 packets plus the shaker bottle, which is a great deal to get started and see if you like it. I mean, it's a lot to invest in if you don't know for sure if you're going to like it. So that's an awesome deal. Let's see. Okay, what's the deal with Keto Chow? What is the deal with Keto Chow? Meal replacement, and do you still lose weight? So, weight loss, I can't just say, if you drink keto chow, you'll lose weight. Like, I can't say that about anything. I mean, except for maybe if you fast, you'll lose weight. Like, that's about it. Um, but keto chow is a meal replacement shake mix that comes in all kinds of different flavors that are delicious. And one thing I love about keto chow is that there's such a community behind it. It's like it's one thing to just have a really great product, but they have this community and like this excitement around it. So they come out with new flavors and it's like Christmas morning when you get to like try these new flavors and it's just really fun. And so it's great for people who need the convenience of having a meal replacement shake. For example, I made my husband a meal replacement shake. Actually, I made him a meal and a meal replacement shake because he has that kind of a metabolism. He intermittent fasts and then he just eats like 2 or 3 meals all at once. And because he was, headed off to work today and he was going to intermittent fast and then break his fast and eat. So he needed a lot of food. So I made him a giant omelet with bacon and ham and cheese. And then he dumped more bacon and ham and cheese on top of it because he said it wasn't enough. And then I also made him a peanut butter chocolate keto chow with, half a stick of butter in it. And, so he's having that convenience and he can drink his keto chow in the car while he's driving. Like he's off out. He can't sit down and, spend a lot of time eating. So it's really convenient for people that need that meal replacement. But then there's also like tons of recipes that have been created because it turns out it's really good for baking. It's really good for all kinds of things like puddings and like cheesecakes. And their flavors are so good that it's like it covers the board of like all of these different things. So the people that just want the convenience of a meal replacement, they buy it. The people that are like experimenting in the kitchen that, want all the flavors, they buy it. It's like Keto Chow is just like covered the market. It's pretty brilliant actually. So it's like a whole world of unto itself and you kind of have to like get into it and experience it to really understand what it's like. I don't know if I answered that question well, but that's all my info on that. And I love it. Like I have gotten to the point where I genuinely love it. And I had never been a meal replacement shake person ever really. And so that's one reason I didn't try it for a long time because I'm like, oh, that's great, but I don't drink meal replacement shakes. I cook my food, and but then once I got into it and, discovered how delicious it was and figured out how I like it, because you do have to kind of do some experimenting and figure out what kind of fats you like in it and if you like it as a shake or as an ice cream or, whatever. And so I figured out exactly how I like it. And now it's like I really look forward to it. And I've been having one on my regular eating days. I'll have usually one a day. Sometimes I'll just have half of one if it's like a dessert. And I just really love it. So, anyways, that's my spiel for keto chow for today. Let's see. Where are we at? Oh, and I did want to mention there's a little more about keto chow. I was very happy to see that when I was having my regular eating days in between challenges, I had keto chow and they actually made my ketones go up. Like, not just like keep it maintained. Genuinely, like, I saw a spike in ketones after I drank my keto chow. And I did it with, a couple ounces of butter. So it was pretty high fat, which I'm sure helped with the ketone production. But they definitely didn't tank my ketones, and they seem to actually help my ketones. So there's my plug on that as well. Let's see. Blaze says hard pass here for sardines. I understand. I do. I never thought I would do a sardine fast. I like genuinely did not think I would ever do it. And it was because of that CKM, that darn CKM, that I was like, I have to do it. Like, I have this device that measures ketones continuously. I have to do the thing that everyone's talking about that raises your ketones more than water fasting. Like, I just have to. And ultimately, I am really glad that I did it because I did get a lot of information from it. Um, I don't know that I would do it again, although it is possible. I just think I would be more careful with only going with the ones that didn't nauseate me because that ended up not being pleasant. And I could do like a dirty sardine fast where you just eat them breaded and, you add other things. And, the sardine police would be all over that, but they're all over anything anyway. So what's the difference? Okay. Oh, we have someone from Uganda, Africa. That is amazing. Sandy. So, a fun fact, I have been to Uganda, although only in the airport. I forget if I had a layover or if we just stayed on the plane. I just remember that I've been to Uganda, but I've been to a lot of countries in Africa in my teenage years before I started having babies. And I love Africa. Like it is like my heart is there. The first place I went in Africa was Malawi, and the tagline or the motto, I don't know, the little tagline is the warm heart of Africa. And like my heart is there. Like it's so appropriate. It was such incredible experiences. There are multiple experiences on trips to Africa, and I hope that one day I'm able to go again, and I hope that I can take some of my kids and possibly my husband. That would be really cool. But I just my heart is in Africa for sure. Let's see. Love keto chow ice cream. Yes, Blaze. Oh, it's so good. So good. I have some in the freezer right now, setting up, and I might make it a little bit later. I'll go ahead and give you the teaser for the challenge that I'm starting today. It involves fat fasting, which is similar to the egg fast, but more intense, I'm finding, because it's lower protein and higher fat percentage. And so I figured out how to mix up keto chow and put it in the creamy container that is 87% fat. So I used one packet of keto chow and a whole stick of butter. And so I mixed that up and then I put it in the creamy container. And then, of course, with the fat fast, you can't eat very much. It's like you don't do big meals, you do tiny little meals. So it'll be like a little half cup serving of this super high fat keto chow ice cream, which I think will be incredibly decadent. I'm just worried that it's going to be like take one bite and I want to eat the whole container. But anyways, I'm gonna be trying that, and you guys will be seeing all of that stuff on videos coming soon. Uh, do, do, do. Yes, Dustin, it is a family company talking about keto chow still. And it's like we're all in the family. It is what it feels like. I just love it. It's so fun. It's more than just a food product. And when you're keto chow, you're family. Okay. Corny enough. Let's see. Keto twins have had trouble eating eggs after their egg fast. Are you familiar with Mel? Is it cooking with Mel? Keto cooking with Mel or something like that? She is making her own chicken flour and puts bamboo fiber in it also. Interesting. Yeah, I would be more interested in trying that with the chicken flour than anything with nut flours. But that is very interesting. All these flours are coming out and becoming popular right now, which is very fascinating. But I have not experimented with them at all. And Lindsay has her own baking blend as well that I have not tried also. And but she loves it and she uses it in lots of things. So that's another recipe out there. It'd be cool to do some kind of a side by side comparison of the different blends, although that would take probably a lot of work. But it would be very interesting. Karen says she's not gonna buy a creamy to make the keto chow ice cream. There are other ways to do it if you have a blender. I feel like there are plenty of other ways to do it. So don't give up hope if you're not willing to buy a creamy, which I totally understand. My husband is still kind of bitter that I have it because not really, but he gives me grief about it because it's like a big appliance that only does one thing. And he's like, we don't have room for this. And I'm like, no, I have to have my creamy. So totally understand not being willing to spend the money and have the space taken up with a creamy. That is a lot. Let's see. Marcy says you like keto chow, but feel like whole foods are better. I mean, that's such a, there's so much to that statement that like I don't either agree or disagree. I feel like, Chris and Miriam would say whole foods are better too. And I mean, I would say that. Like if I had the choice, like you could only eat keto chow for the rest of your life, or you could only eat whole foods. I would choose only eating whole foods. I think overall, only eating whole foods is going to be better. But there's more to life and health and, taste and enjoyment than, you know, than just like the nutrients. And so what I get from keto chow as far as, the enjoyment and the convenience, like that's worth something to me. So I'm willing to eat a tiny, tiny bit less whole, real food, if you want to call it that, and or whole food, whatever, and allow for that bit of keto chow that seems to do well for my body at this point and that I, really enjoy and that my kids enjoy and that my husband enjoys, that we get to all enjoy together. Like all the benefits I get from that are worth my whole food consumption going down a tiny bit. And then on top of that, keto chow ingredients are very good. Like I wouldn't put keto chow in the same category as, I don't know, uh, Twinkies, like some really processed fake food that has all kinds of, hydrogenated oils and high fructose corn syrup. Like I see them as such completely different products, like not even in the same category. Because some people will be like, oh, it's a processed food. Lindsay and I talked all about this on our last Tuesday live, but I just don't see them in the same category really. And I I see so much benefit in incorporating the keto chow in my life that it's worth it to me. And I love that we can all decide what's worth it to us and what's not. And, there was a time where it wasn't worth it to me to add keto chow because of all the gut health issues that I was dealing with. I couldn't tolerate xanthan gum. And there was, it was a little over a year ago. And if you guys have been with me for this little over a year, you remember that our dog passed away. We had to get him put down, little Poe. And that having, going through that experience, having him put down, it really affected me very, very strongly. Like I went into a period where I really struggled. I don't like to call it depression, but it was just like grief. And it was started by that experience of losing Poe, but it revealed so much more that was going on inside of me. Grief over, moving out of the house where I had my babies, and like there was just so much, and it just like opened this emotional time. Anyways, this is getting back to keto chow. um, During that time, I was having such a difficult time. I didn't want to cook. And I had a bunch of keto chow that they had sent me. And so I started using it just because I knew I needed to eat, and I didn't want to cook, and I was like, feeling not motivated to cook. And I couldn't handle it. My digestion couldn't handle it. And I was like, I was so bummed because I really needed that convenience at that time. And it just hurt, it hurt my gut to use it. And I'm just so thankful now that I've gone through the gut healing that I did, because I like now I can handle it. Like I feel great when I eat it. And it was, I mean, 100% because of the gut healing protocols that I went on for, SIBO and all of that. And so anyways, I don't know where all I was going with that, but um it wasn't worth it to me at that point to use it because of my own body's deficiencies and how it couldn't handle it. Now it is very worth it to me, and it's so fun to like, ask my husband and or Renee or Levi, what flavor of keto chow should we have tonight? It's like our little fun treat that we get to have at the end of the day. And I can feel good that I'm giving my kids a treat that they genuinely enjoy and think is super fun to have with me. And it's not, going to spike their blood sugar, and it's going to actually it has protein in it. Like what desserts that we think of as treats have that much protein? Like it's a meal with vitamins and minerals and protein. Anyways, this whole thing was not supposed to be about keto chow. But those are some thoughts I have about that. Okay, let's get back to other questions. I feel like I'm not going to get to any of the questions from the videos because we got so much good conversation going on, and I have 126 people here watching, which I think is the highest I've ever gotten, which is very cool. Let's see. Miriam and Chris are lovely people. I 100% agree. It was such a treat to get to meet them in Austin. That was just so special. Okay. Ba, 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 ba. Chris is saying he's going to develop a recipe to make sardines taste awesome, and I will try it. If you make a recipe that makes sardines taste awesome, I will definitely try it. I cannot guarantee that the kids will try it, and you probably don't want them to anyway. Just knowing that there's sardines in it, they'll just be like, nope, nope, I've already decided I don't like it. I don't have to taste it. Oh, that's funny. I know Anita has done a lot of recipes with sardines, and like the sardine cakes, or sardine balls, I forget what she called them, but they looked really good. It was like with pork rinds and stuff, which you either would or wouldn't use in your sardine fast depending on how strict you're going. But there are ways to make them taste good. Like when I used the breading on some, those tasted really good. Like they tasted like fried fish sticks, It was fine. It's just when you try to do the purest way that's what I had trouble with. Let's see. Blaze is reminding everyone to hit the like button. If you do like it, feel free to hit the dislike button. If you dislike it, that's fine. It won't hurt my feelings too much. Just let's see. Jack says sardine recipe would be great. Jason liked and shared. Thank you so much. Um, do you worry, this is from DC, do you worry that these challenges will aggravate your SIBO? Actually, no. It's actually the opposite because things that aggravate SIBO are things like fiber and, vegetables and carbs and starches and all of the challenges that I'm doing. I'm taking all of that stuff out. So, I mean, I guess there's, you could say taking all of it out and then, when you go back to your regular diet, maybe you would have a worse reaction. I mean, I guess that's possible. I haven't noticed that to be the case. My SIBO has seemed to be very much in remission or under control. Like my digestion has been doing so well. I mean, ever since the all of the yogurt plus the protocols that I did, it just night and day from where it was a year ago. Seriously. So, and I want to say I've been eating a whole foods diet for 15 years. Like, I mean, it's varied over the years, but I've cut out fast food. I cut out soda. I cut out, like I did all these healthy things and I still had issues that didn't get resolved. Even going carnivore for 3 months. Going carnivore for 3 months resolved some issues for me. Let me tell you, it was amazing. I had an itchy rash on the back of my head, like a dry spot on my scalp that I had had for 10 years, like at least 10 years. And it was like I had this like twitch to scratch the back of my head. It was like just automatic all day, every day. I had this itch on the back of my head. And within the first month of doing carnivore, it went away and it has not come back. And that was like 5 years ago. No, it was like 4 years, 4.5 years ago. And it has not, I've not had anything on my scalp as far as skin goes since then. So doing the carnivore, like I definitely got great results doing it. It wasn't enough to heal my SIBO, sadly. And then eating ketovore after that, it wasn't enough to heal everything. And like I had to work through, the disappointment that eating this perfect diet was gonna, make everything better. Because you hear these stories where they're like, I had all of these health problems and I went carnivore and now everything's perfect. And you're like, why is that not me? But I found a lot of healing through other things, like on top of diet. So it's not that diet is not important. It's like that's like the foundation. And some people, that's all they need. They just need to fix that foundation and their health is great. For me, I needed a few other things on top of that foundation. And I do kind of like, I watch people who start with the supplements and the protocols and different things like that. And you just see them spiral and like not get anywhere because they haven't addressed the foundation of food. But when you have that foundation, then there are other tools that you can use and they just work together. Yeah. So anyways, there's that. Let's see. Sardines taste pretty good in chaffles. I don't know if I believe that yet. I did make those sardine waffles when I did my challenge. I just used some breading, so it was more just like a sardine cake, and those were not bad. They were not bad. I don't know about the eggs and the cheese and the sardines. I don't know if that would. I'd have to try it, but I'm probably not going to. Teresa says, I can't eat sardines. Yeah, I feel you on that one. Let's see. Librarian Loves Rick says, I watched your pigs in a blanket recipe today, so decided to buy the keto crisp flour. Oh, so you don't use the almond flour. Yeah. That's a great option. I love those flours. I don't use them like all the time, and they're kind of cost prohibitive to use them all the time. But for certain things, especially like those little pigs in a blanket or anything made with the what's it called, the fathead dough. If you want to do the fathead dough, but you want to keep it, no nuts, the meat flours are a great option as long as the flavor of the chicken or the beef goes with whatever it is you're making. Then it'll be a good substitute. Yes, Dustin, I saw the Creamy Breeze. I saw a video pop up of someone reviewing all three. It looks kind of interesting. It's another one that's smaller. I have the bigger one just because I have so many kids. But it does look interesting. Like the paint sticks out at a funny angle. So it looks like it's always like not all the way installed correctly. It's kind of funny. Let's see. Karen says, passing on the sardine and egg fast. I am wondering if you could still get some benefits from eating sardines daily with other foods. Absolutely. They are high in omega 3s. They are, higher fat, moderate protein. Like, there's all kinds of healthy things about sardines. And I think you absolutely can get benefits from just including them in your diet. Absolutely. Same with eggs. You don't have to do an egg fast to get the benefits of eggs. Just eat eggs anytime with whatever. Let's see. This is from Librarian Loves Rick again. I carry the creamy from one home to the other. Won't leave town without it, except this month of BBBE. That's that's a big sacrifice to give up your creamy for the month. I bet there's a BBBE ice cream you could make. It wouldn't be very sweet probably, but you could do eggs. I guess that's it because you can't do any dairy. Yeah, that wouldn't be very good. Don't do that. I guess you could do butter and egg ice cream. I don't know. I don't know. Making ice cream in the Ninja blender does work. Oh, does not work. Does work in a Vitamix though. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. You can do like a soft serve in the Vitamix if you have one of those. Um, Deb says, I could never do all carnivore. I would get too bored. Keto has a lot more variety. I do agree. And it's another one of those things where everyone has to make their own assessment of what's important to them. And so, for example, there are people who react so strongly to anything besides meat. Like you think of Michaela Peterson as the perfect example, where she wants to eat a more varied diet, but like literally she can't because her health just takes a nosedive anytime she tries to. And so, if it's where you get to weigh like the importance of things like variety is this important to me and how I feel is this important and it's like you get to weigh it out and for someone when they're starting at a place of health where it's already so bad then the variety is not going to be as important to them. I mean it can't be. So totally agree with that and that's where I'm at right now, like the variety I enjoy and I feel like I'm not losing any health benefit by eating more variety than carnivore and having, tried carnivore. It's not that I've done carnivore for, 5 years to see how I feel. That's a big commitment, but I've done it, long enough that I have a general idea of how I feel. And I'm like, I could feel pretty much just as good with a little bit more variety. So I will. But if something changes, it's definitely on the table that I would do some kind of a stricter diet. And I mean, it's an option. And I love that it's an option because it's like a safety net. It's like, because I've had digestive issues that have been, very difficult to go through. And if I didn't have the knowledge that a carnivore diet like takes away the symptoms just like that, I would feel like at the mercy of this digestive problem. And I know of a lot of people who feel that way. Like this is just, I can't control it. This is just how my body is. And I'm just a victim of it. But when you have the tool of the carnivore diet, you're like, well, let's see how far we can push this, but I can always go back. I can always go back to the carnivore diet and, get relief. And so it gives you that feeling of control and that freedom to experiment, but then also to have that like safety net to come back to. So I love that. All right, let's see. Chris says, being at the top rung of nutrition is great, but most of us aren't there and may never be. That doesn't mean we shouldn't sacrifice our health. Carnivore recipes or keto chow are great tools. 100% agree. I also always come back to, and this is something I had to learn for myself, because there was a time where I felt like I had to get my diet perfect. I didn't have carnivore in my mind at that point. It was more like real food, paleo, dairy-free, grain-free, like that kind of thing. And I felt like I had to get my diet perfect in order to have good health. And when I did that, I sacrificed social interaction. I sacrificed enjoying certain things with my family. And I had to come to the realization that those things, the social interaction, the entering in with my family, also contribute to my overall health. Nutrition is not the only thing that contributes to my health. So when I feel joy sharing a keto chow with Levi and Renee, that is adding to my bodily health in a completely separate way than the nutrition from the keto chow, if that makes sense. So I've tried to get away from the idea that food is the only variable in our body's health. And I think that that is becoming more well established and accepted. People talking about getting sunlight and, like going outside first thing in the morning and grounding and sleep, and like all of these things are important. And when you narrow down your focus to just diet, and that's like your hill to die on, and you will not allow for any kind of, variation, there can be some unhealth that can come from that mindset, like orthorexic type disorders and stuff like that. So anyways, that's my thought on that, because I do kind of push back against the idea that carnivore or any type of diet specifically is the ultimate goal, but we'll just allow for this because we're weak, or we're, it's just we enjoy it too much, or I don't think that. I don't think that. I think we need to take into account the nutrition in our diet and make sure we're covering our bases, but then we will have better health if we continue to prioritize the joy and the connection and the social aspect of food more than we would if we ate a perfect diet and isolated ourselves. That's my current thinking about it. It's open to evolve. That definitely happens. My thinking is always evolving. But I used to think that to get the best health, I would have to go carnivore. I thought that, and I don't think that anymore for a lot of different reasons. So, but again, next week could be different. I'm always evolving, always changing. Let's see. Do you have a good recipe for keto maple syrup? I do not have a good recipe for it, but the one that I buy that I like is the RX Sugar Allulose maple syrup. And there's several different kinds on the market, different brands that make it, but that's just the one that I've tried and really liked. And it works well for me. So that's the one I would recommend. Yes. Yeah, some people talking about losing a pet can be devastating. Absolutely. It was very hard, and I did not expect it to be. Like, it caught me by surprise how difficult it was. And it just, like I said, it just opened Pandora's box of a whole bunch of other things. And so I'm really glad that, like, I worked through all that stuff, but I still like, go up to the grave and, I still feel it. Like it'll always be there. Let's see. Shelly Rocks 211, new subscriber, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Oh, you did a sardine fast and it helped with your ketones and you like them. Oh, I'm so jealous. Yeah, it is pretty amazing how efficient the sardine fast was in raising ketones. And because I mean, I did, a fast and I did not get my ketones did not rise as quickly as they did eating sardines. Like that's crazy. And I know that like sardines have some fat, so you eat the fat and it turns into ketones, but like there's something magical about the sardines and the way it enhances ketosis. I don't know what it is, but Dr. Buzz is on to something. And I just wish they tasted better. Okay, let's see. Ooh, Tiffany says sardine guac is awesome. Make your favorite guac and add mashed up sardines. That would definitely be a way to mask them, which I can imagine would be pretty good. Although the sardine fast police will come after you for that recipe. Avocados are not sardine fast approved. Oh, Low Carb Spin is here. If you guys have not followed Low Carb Spin, I definitely recommend it. They love to bake and experiment in the kitchen. So they're like, Chris and Anita and me and Lindsay, like all of us who like to get creative and don't just say, because, we're eating this restrictive diet, we have to have boring food. No, there's plenty of ways to make it fun and exciting. And, if you're that kind of person that enjoys the creativity in the kitchen, like you can still do that. You don't have to give that up if you, want to clean up your diet and eat more of a keto or carnivore lifestyle. Like it is possible. So go follow Low Carb Spin if you have not already. Okay, let's see. Sandy says, could I substitute canned mackerel for sardines? I have heard some people say that they do, and herring also, I think. But I really don't know like all the details. I wish I had a CKM for longer, and maybe at some point when they become available, I might get another one to do more experiments because I was like, if I ate canned salmon, would I get the same effect? If I ate, herring, would I get the same effect? It'd be really fascinating to try some of these different things that are similar and see if they did something as magical as the sardines. But I'd say, I mean, it's a healthy food. Add it, see what happens, and worst that happens is you enjoy some fish. And that's not a bad thing. Okay, Shelly is asking, what is a creamy? Okay, that's a good question because we were just talking about a creamy, and if you don't know what that is, then that makes no sense whatsoever. The Ninja company has an appliance called the Ninja Creamy, creamy with an I at the end, and it is an ice cream maker, and it's a different kind of ice cream maker than like basically all the other ice cream makers on the market, which makes it super convenient. Usually you have to like freeze the container that goes into the ice cream maker, and then you make up your mix and it spins while it freezes, and you can only do like one batch at a time before you have to refreeze the base, and it takes a while to refreeze. And so the Ninja Creamy is different in that you have these little plastic pint containers, and you fill it up with your ice cream mix that's not frozen, and then you freeze that. So it's like a solid ice chunk of your ice cream mixture, and you take that after it's fully frozen, put it in the machine, and it like blends it up amazingly and makes the most incredible ice cream out of it. So long story short, it's an ice cream maker. Let's see. Oh, Dustin, you missed your chance to get an original creamy from Costco for $119. Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. And I do see the benefit of the original size. I have the bigger size and I can make two servings of keto chow ice cream at a time, just barely. But I like the smaller one because it is like the perfect size for one serving. So I can see that being an advantage. And so you could have just one serving in each pint. But the big one is great too. And I can't complain. And I can make, multiple servings at a time for all of the little mouths that I need to feed. Yes. Dustin answered your question, Shelly, so that is good. Let's see. Oh, Julia's saying maybe an egg custard ice cream. Yeah. Actually, Anita did a recipe for egg fast ice cream. So like egg fast friendly. And I had thought that I was going to make it for my egg fast and then I just never got around to it. So that's something I still need to try. But go check out Ketogenic Woman if you want an egg custard ice cream recipe. Jodelle has to go feed the horses. That sounds very fun. The kids are out feeding the goats right now. Their chore time is 3 p.m. in the afternoons, and one of their chores is to go gather up a bunch of weeds that we've cut and take them to the goats. So that's what they're doing. Very exciting. Hopefully, they're doing. I'm in here, so I can't say for sure, but that's what they're supposed to be doing. Uh, Oh, okay. Anita says that she made Anita's ketogenic woman's recipe from hard-boiled eggs. Oh, and it tasted like frozen hard-boiled eggs. Uh-oh. That doesn't sound very good. Oh, yeah. I think she did like some experiments, so maybe there's a better recipe. I don't know. But I'll have to try it anyway. All right. Shelly says, can't wait to try making the brioche bread. Yep, I put that video out this morning of trying Chris's brioche recipe. If you're carnivore and you want to stick to all carnivore ingredients, 100% recommend that recipe. And it turns out I did something a little bit wrong because of the recipe in the written recipe that I printed out. It didn't say where to put the salt in, and I should have put it in at the beginning of cooking the eggs. And because I just didn't remember that from having watched the video. And so I added in later, but I think that if I had put it in at the beginning, it would have helped break down the eggs and maybe cook out more of the liquid. That's my guess. And so I think that's why mine turned out a little bit more eggy, but they still tasted good, especially like making them into a breakfast sandwich, like an egg fast sandwich with cheese and an egg, like a fried egg in there. They were really good. So they can even be better if you do the recipe right. Let's see. I keep saying let's see, and I'm trying not to say it, but there you go. Roxanne says, I'm in the same boat, Neely, still working on it. My gut issues are histamine related, so I can't have any of these flours or additives. That's hard. And that's where, like, you just have to know where you're at and, like, be honest with your own health and your own body. Sometimes we want to convince ourselves that our health is better than it is so that we can eat, the same diet as whatever, influencer or Instagram person is saying. And you just have to kind of be honest with yourself and be like, no, this is not actually working for me. And I actually feel better when I do this. So it's one of those things that you just have to work through. And it's not easy. Oh, Tiffany, your 15-month-old son just got diagnosed with an egg and dairy allergy. That is a bummer. I am so sorry. Yeah, so Levi has an egg allergy, and we have known about it since he was like less than a year old. Because one of my first foods that I've always fed my kids is mashed egg yolks, and I'll mash it with some banana or, mash it with some coconut milk or something like that. And we found out very quickly that he could not tolerate eggs. And we keep hoping that he will grow out of it. It is possible for them to grow out of it. It is actually common for them to grow out of it. So hopefully, I mean, there's still hope, Tiffany, but I'd say at 15 months, I imagine he's not eating. Okay, I'll say it this way. With Levi, since it happened so early, it was very easy for him to get used to it because he wasn't used to eating all of those things. It's not like my 12-year-old, if all of a sudden she was diagnosed with an egg allergy, it would be a really big adjustment for her and like learning how to eat again. With Levi, I mean, we just basically started that way. And so by age 2 or 3, he was knowing that he had to say, does this have eggs in it, before he just took something, that someone was offering him. And like he's totally used to it and knows what he needs. And so I'd say better that it's early, than late, although I mean, I don't know if better is the right word. But anyways, so just make it normal. It's normal that he eats fruits and, meats, and like don't treat it like it's something terrible, or I mean, not that you would, but like, and you don't even have to think of it that way, like, oh, he's just missing out on all these things. He doesn't know to miss out on it. Just feed him delicious food that he can enjoy and make it a big deal, and I think he's gonna love it. So like coconut milk, I love in soups and things, like to make things creamy. Um, you can do things like coconut milk yogurt, although that's a lot of work. And there's just so many foods out there that are naturally dairy free and egg free that, like, there's a lot of options. Maybe look for egg free paleo recipes. That might be just an easy way to search for things, because paleo is already dairy free. So if you looked for something that was egg free, that might be an option. But I just say focus on the whole real foods that are naturally egg and dairy free, and don't worry too much about like making lookalikes. Like, I think those things are valuable, like if it's something that happens later in life when you're already used to eating all those things. But with a baby so young, it's like, just make it normal. Make this way of eating normal. That's my best advice, I guess. Let's see. So eclectic cabin. You said you missed keto chow because you had to go dairy free, which I understand. There's a lot of great keto chow options that are dairy. There is one that is not, and that's the keto chow core that's made with beef protein. And we're still crossing our fingers that that'll come out in more flavors. That would be very exciting, because it's delicious. So yeah, and Cindy is telling you here that there is the chocolate core that is delicious. Spirit junkie. I'm so new. I'm still struggling with addictive cravings. I'm afraid to try anything that might be a new fix or easy food. I would say occasionally white knuckle it if I don't eat enough fat, salt. Yeah, so that's another area where you have to really know yourself and know if a tool is going to be helpful for you or not. Because something like keto chow that is sweet and yummy, for some people, like just getting that sensation makes them crave the ice cream, the Ben and Jerry's. And then there's other people, like where I'm at right now, like that's not a problem for me. It's just not. And so for me, putting that rule on myself is like, I can't eat anything sweet because someone said that might trigger binging on ice cream. Well, that doesn't make sense because that's not where my body is at. Like, I have experience knowing that that's not the case for me. But that's, again, where you have to know yourself. So sometimes it's easier just to play it safe, knowing, especially when you're just getting started, knowing that the possibility could be that you taste one of these things, like, one of these lookalike recipes, or products or whatever, and you're like, it just sends you off. Knowing that that's a possibility, just play it safe and don't do that. And then maybe once you get a little bit more comfortable, And you're like, okay, I'm ready to branch out a little bit, and you try it. Maybe you'll have, a fail. And then that is incredible information that you can apply moving forward. Don't waste that experience. Use the information from it and, move forward with your newfound knowledge. So, yeah, I totally understand. And I don't think there's a right or wrong choice there. It all has to do with where you're at currently. And where you're at currently could be completely different from where you're at a year later. A year ago, I couldn't have keto chow because it messed up my gut. And here I am a year later and I'm drinking it almost daily. It's like, and so if I had, a year ago said, keto chow messes up my stomach, therefore it's evil and bad, and anyone who drinks it is wrong. Well, then that doesn't allow for me to change and to, start enjoying it in the future. Like let's just be open and not, not put all of those limitations on ourselves. I'm trying not to say okay. Um, 72 and Sunny from Ohio. Do you have any issues with the sucralose that is in keto chow? I do not. I went through, well, I'll say I started low carb back in the early 2000s. I did the Atkins diet. And back then, sucralose was very popular. Splenda was not too, it was pretty fresh on the market at that point, I think. And it was like the darling of the low carb world. So I used a lot of Splenda back then. And I even ordered like the liquid sucralose that didn't have the maltodextrin or whatever in it. And I used that a lot. And it was after that that I got really into like paleo and moved away from, like, I just went to Whole Foods, like all, not the store, to eating whole foods. And I felt like a pure diet was, just whole foods. And so I stopped using anything like sweeteners, artificial, or even, I mean, I use stevia a little bit, but not a lot. Because when I was paleo, I wasn't low carb. I ate coconut sugar and honey and things like that. And so I felt like I was more righteous because I was eating all these whole real foods and cutting out all of these sweeteners. And I kind of just uh, never added sucralose back in, and kind of I still had that negative association with it because we hear about negative things about it, but I really had never looked into it deeply. Um, and so, but then I also didn't really feel like I needed it in my diet. Like I was really happy with the stevia when I used that, although I went through a long time that I didn't use that and didn't use any sweetener. And I will throw in here, when I did my 3-month carnivore experiment, I did zero sweeteners. Like it was real. Come on, carnivore police. I did it. I did it right. I did have dairy, so, but that's carnivore. Anyways, but I didn't do any stevia. I wasn't taking electrolytes at that point, so I didn't do any element. I didn't do anything like that. Um, anyways, so I never really looked into sucralose, and I was never really motivated to look into it or add it to my diet until I started enjoying keto chow, and getting to know them and working with them, and just through listening to Chris and his, like, because obviously he's done the research, like he researches things, and like his brain, man. um Listening to him talk about it, as well as the two crazy ketos, they talk about it, as well as serious keto Steve has talked about it. I have decided that I'm not worried about it. And I'm not going to sit here and say I know 100% for sure that it is perfectly safe and nothing bad could ever happen from consuming sucralose. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say that for me personally, I'm not concerned about it. And I don't see good reason for me to fear it. And really, keto chow is the only thing I consume that has sucralose in it. Because like I said, I'm real happy with allulose and stevia and all of the other options that I do use. And So the tiny amount of sucralose that I get in 1/2 to 1 keto chow per day, I'm just not concerned about it. But that's again where we all get to make our own decisions. Um, where are we at here? Where are we at? Rose says carnivore is a great place to start, but I agree that there is so much more to health. I totally agree. And so, like, when I talk about carnivore not being optimal for me currently where I'm at, I don't want to communicate that I think carnivore is bad. And I've already said this. I think it's an incredible tool, and I am so thankful for it. Like, I learned so much through going carnivore, and I had health issues that resolved from the short time that I did do carnivore that eating a whole foods paleo diet did not fix. Like, I'm so thankful for carnivore, and I listen to all of the carnivore doctors, and excuse me, I gain knowledge from all of them, like their insights and just the way that they think. Like, I love all of that. I don't agree with every single one of them on every single point that they say, but I still learn from them and I agree with them on a lot of what they say. And just because I have chosen that that's not the exact right diet for me right now does not mean that I don't value it, because I absolutely do. All right, it is over an hour now that we've been on, and it has been so fun to chat with all of you. I still have not made it to the end of the chat. Let me see if there's any more like huge pressing questions that I really want to get to before we. Oh, thank you, Dustin, for adding the link to Low Carb Spin. That is fantastic. Yeah, Tanya says your 11-month-old granddaughter has a dairy allergy and it is tough. It is. It is. One silver lining that I have found with the egg allergy is that it makes it easier to have less junk food for him. Because, like, if there is an option, birthday cake, for example, almost always has eggs in it. He doesn't eat it. And so, and I'm not one that says that my kids can't eat that stuff. They do eat it. I just try to keep it as an occasional special treat rather than an everyday thing. But the egg allergy, like, it reduces it even more. And, like, it's a bummer, sometimes that he feels like he can't enter in on these special occasions. But at the same time, I think it benefits him not to have quite as much of that junk and have it just be a little bit easier to say no to. So that's the little bit of a silver lining there. Oh, Tiffany, yeah, he tries to steal his brother's food. Okay, so I remember when Levi was first diagnosed, we were going to a homeschool co-op, and we would have lunch all together, and he would steal everyone's food like he wanted to. And he was only like, 1 or 1.5, and so he didn't know. And so I had to like keep him tied down, like keep him tied in the stroller and like feed him his food so that he wouldn't just run around and try to take everybody else's food. That was really hard, but he did, move out of that. And so as soon as it clicked in his head that eggs equal, this terrible feeling that I get, then he got it, and it does happen. So that is hard, that stage, but it does pass. Okay, Chris says, I'm a eat a Brussels sprout and 2 hours later be uncontrollably craving Twinkies and soda and pizza and donuts and on kind of person. It's all about individual and their triggers. Absolutely. Absolutely. And some people like Brussels sprouts, nothing, and for them, maybe it's something else. And that's where we all got to know ourselves. And so, man, like, I'm so thankful that there's the carnivore diet for someone that has that struggle. Like, who who am I to tell someone you need to eat like me? You need to not eat a carnivore diet. You need to have more variety in your diet, like I do. That would be ridiculous. That would be absolutely ridiculous. So, like, that's amazing. I love that. Um, would you consider putting some of the Spirit Junkie says, would you consider putting some of the channels you trust slash like on your channel tab? Yeah, I should do that. I have never looked at the channel tab and I've never thought to do that. But thank you for pointing that out. I should do that because I've seen, channel tab on other people's channels. I just have never thought to take the time to do it. All right. Let's sign off for today. Thank you so much everybody for joining this afternoon. I hope you all, gave love to your fathers. If you have fathers in your lives, whether they're your own father or just people that you know that are fathers or fathers of your children, and anyone out there listening that is a father, I really hope you had a wonderful Father's Day. And as far as these Sunday chats, I I'm not going to say there's going to be definitely one every Sunday. It's kind of going to be on a week by week basis, depending on what we have going. It is, a weekend day. My husband does have a lot of weekends scheduled for work, so I imagine that I'll be able to do some more of these chats in the Sundays throughout the summer, we'll say. And so you can look forward to that, but it'll be a week by week thing. So anyways, thank you so much for joining, guys. And I'll just see you in the next video, like I always say.